Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Radio Days with Gary Music Miller. I'm Dave Black, your co-host. This is the aforementioned Gary Music Miller, longtime voice at WKEE here in town. Sure, you've heard him at one time or another if you've been listening to the radio at all over the past 40 years. He's been was a staple on the airwaves, and I'm sure that everyone at one time or another, from 6 to 10 at least, had the radio on and was listening to this fella.
It was a lot of fun, and people remember the Gary Music Miller. If I'm just Gary Miller, nobody pays any attention to me.
Well, there's a lot of them. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, we were. There are a lot of them. If you're Gary Miller and you're listening, send me a note. We'll give the email address at the end of the show.
Right. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. We always ask that. Do whatever you please, but if you would, we'd appreciate it. We're going to start off with a fairly somber note today, and Gary, he understands what this is all about. So take it away, Gary.
Well, I do. We just recently found out yesterday, I believe, that Bob Miller had passed away. If you're listening to us or watching us and you're not a local resident of the Huntington, West Virginia, Ashland, Kentucky, and especially Ironton, Ohio, I believe that's where the Miller family was, then you don't know who Bob Miller is. But if you are a local resident or from somewhere around here, Bob Miller is a legend. People talk to me about becoming a legend. How do you feel about it? I'm no legend. Bob Miller was a legend. Everybody listened to him. I believe he was on WGNT, I believe, and which was an AM station. And he was the brother of J.B. Miller, that many of you know, and many of you confuse me with. I've had people mention, I used to listen to you, Miller in the Morning, and I'd say, nope, that's not me. Miller in the Morning was J.B. Miller. Miller in the Afternoon was Gary Music Miller. And Bob is J.B.'s brother, and so J.B. and family and friends of Bob's, we extend our condolences. We certainly are sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear when another true legendary person passes away. And I have a brief story about Bob. I've told this before, but there are a lot of you who ask me to repeat stories from the past because you didn't start listening to us till 2 or 3 or 4 years in. I believe we're in our 5th season now. Very simply, I was working at WKEE. We were working in the building that we shared with WHTN, which became WOWK TV. I think it was WOWK by the time we moved there. And Key and Channel 13 shared a building.
The old Vanity Fair building.
Yeah, okay. It was on the corner of 4th Street and one of those avenues. The courthouse was over here. The Milner Hotel was over here. I can't even remember what was directly across the street. But I'm in a studio. I signed on at 6 o'clock. I was doing the 6 to 10 shift. Apparently doing it fairly well because as I'm around 6:30, I am facing a big picture window which led into the hall that was between Channel 13 and Key. And I see this guy walking down the hall, which is no real big surprise. Probably somebody who works for the TV station that I don't know. And then I hear the door open. There's an outside door and an inside door to the studio. The outside door opens, and I'm thinking, I better check this out as soon as I can get free here. It wasn't like you could just get up and leave. Now you can do that thanks to computers, but when I was running everything manually. So I heard the door open, and before I had a chance to do anything, the door opens to my studio, opens up, and this man walks in. And I immediately thought that it might be somebody from the FCC because, I mean, who else would be there? I knew everybody that worked for Key. And the FCC had a sort of a reputation, I guess you would say, for popping in on people unexpectedly.
Just drop in for a visit.
Drop in for a visit, check your music logs. When they see they aren't done correctly, they, fine you a few $1,000s and you're on your way. But I was never under an FCC inspection. Anyway, the guy comes in and I drop my headphones down, turn off the mic, had music playing, said, "Can I help you?" And he leans over and he reaches his hand to me and across a big table, and he says, "I'm Bob Miller." And I said, "Oh, Bob Miller. Bob, hey, great to meet you." And this was long before, I guess, JB signed on the air. I don't know what year JB Miller signed on, but I have him beaten by about 10 years, I think, because I started in 1971. And this would have been around 78, 79. And Bob says to me, "I just wanted you to know that I'm leaving and you're doing a very good job. And I want to make sure the Miller name is, I wanted to meet the other Miller on the air, and I wanted to make sure the Miller name is held up with some kind of dignity and, whatever, people, fondly remember the Miller name, and that you go ahead and carry it on. And I think you're doing a great job of doing so." So that's my Bob Miller story. He popped in out of nowhere, no pre-call, no idea he was visiting, and I did not know who he was because I'd never met him. And to the couple of people who have expressed condolences to me, JB, Bob, and I are not related. JB and Bob are brothers, but I'm not related to them at all. So I did not lose a brother, but you might want to extend those condolences to the right person, who would be JB Miller and family. So
sad that another great radio voice has left us.
It is. Yeah.
And he had a great radio voice. Just
he
fantastic.
Had a wonderful voice. He was, I don't remember him as being a DJ as much as he was a real personality.
Oh, yeah.
And
very good.
I don't even know whether they played music then or not. But
on the Friendly Giant, WGNT.
Friendly Giant. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Again, condolences, and our thoughts and our prayers are with your family. And to quote NSYNC, one of these days, it's going to be me. So I hope you never have to.
One of these days, it's going to be all of us.
I hope you never have to come on here and say he's gone today. But
well, I do too.
Yeah. Well, I just celebrated with Bill Shatner his 95th anniversary. And there are some people you expect to live longer than them. And there are some people that, go early, and you're like, holy crap, how did Whitney Houston die? She's 10, 15 years younger than me or whatever. So, okay.
Do you have anything else you want to go over before we get going here?
You'll have to remind me. Do you want me to mention the topic?
Well, I can go.
Was there something else you wanted me to?
Well, no. I thought you had something else on your agenda here before we get.
Oh, that's true. I did. You're right. An answer to an X private message. You have to forgive me. My memory, is in bits and pieces. I use my brain surgery that I had back in 2022 as an excuse for that, but I probably forget these things anyway. Lisa Litton sent me a private message on X, and it's a three-parter. Number one, she said, listen to our last show, which I dedicated to Millennium Records. And that's a legendary company that was not in business for more than 7 or 8 years, but they had a great roster, I thought. And I mentioned Don McLean. She says, you kept calling Don McLean. Check that out. Well, I did, Lisa, and I went to Wikipedia, and there's a pronunciation of his name, and it ends with Klain. And that is, it rhymes with rain, rhymes with explain. So Don McLean was correct. She thought it was Don McLean because that's the way it's spelled. And Lisa, I hate to tell you, after all those years, you might need to change your pronunciation of his name. If you talk about him anymore, you may never. But Don McLean is, I'm happy to know, is correct. She said, I mentioned just about every Don McLean song. I mentioned American Pie. I played Crying on Millennium Records, which was a cover of a Roy Orbison song from the 60s. And I mentioned Castles in the Air.
And Vincent.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Did I mention Vincent?
I think we went over that.
She says, you did not mention my favorite song, Starry, Starry Night. Well, as Dave just alluded to, the song is called Vincent. It's a tribute to Vincent van Gogh, who about 1893 drew a masterful painting, a work of his called Starry Night. And so, and it actually read on down about the song, and it said it's called Vincent, or Vincent in parentheses, Starry, Starry Night. So Lisa, you're not the only one to get that, wrong, and I can't say you really did get it wrong, but the song is called
parenthetical
Vincent.
Song.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, my art teacher in school told me I could become another Van Gogh, and she handed me a knife. He had one ear.
Yeah, he certainly did. And you said to her, huh? You sliced it off and said, huh?
I can't hear you.
The third thing is actually a show suggestion, I think. I saw a show of yours about 50th anniversary songs dating back to 1976. This 50th anniversary songs in 1976. How about doing a 40th anniversary show with songs from 1986? And while we stay in 2026, that would I think that might be worth doing. We have some 80s fans in the audience, so Lisa, we'll work on that. I think if Dave has no objection, and I'll always run stuff by him, and
I have none.
That might be a real good idea. We probably would start out with just, you mentioned 5, I mentioned 5, maybe just our favorite songs from that year, as opposed to trying to count down the whole year.
Right.
But there may have been some great one-hit wonders. I'm thinking that my favorite rock song ever was from '86, so we'll find out when we do that. Now, we have a topic for today, and please stay tuned to the end of the show. You got to hear this, and I've got something else I'm doing at the end of the show. I don't guess there are any Stump Garys or Stump Daves.
No, we have none of those.
So
none of those for today.
But thank you for reminding me about Lisa's email, and or not email, but a private message to Twitter. A very good time to sign on to X with your name, @your-name, and then you can reach me by writing to @GaryMusicMiller. And I check all of my private messages, and that's how a lot of people seem to like to contact me.
Yep.
So today's topic is...
Well, this topic was, when we went over the viewer messages and things like that not long ago, this was a suggestion by our friend of the channel, Dave Mills. He said, why don't you try to do something about how bands got their names? Well, we're going to give you a few here just to whet your appetite, so to speak. Now,
which I happen to be doing, and Dave's going to do more mainstream artists.
Right.
I have 4 artists that
nobody's ever heard of.
One is not that bizarre, but I always wondered about how the third part of their name came about.
Yeah. And
then we got 3 songs from the 1980s that had strange names, I guess. So after you.
So I'm going to take off here without. Now, a lot of these are pretty much mainstream, and they had hits for decades.
Everybody knows them.
Yeah. First off, I'm going to go with the Rolling Stones. They emerged in the 60s, and they ran through the 70s, and you know their story all up through the decades. They had some big albums, Sticky Fingers and things
There's a
like
guy,
that.
Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that
Their
he's still
name,
around.
yeah, their name was inspired by a blues legend named Muddy Waters.
Sure.
Okay. Brian Jones, one of the founding members of the band, was asked for the band's name during an early interview. And they hadn't yet decided. So he was thinking real quick, and he glanced down and saw the Muddy Waters record, and the song title on the outside of the album was Rolling Stone. So that's it.
Hence the name Rolling Stone.
Yep, that's how they got it.
Great.
Okay. Next up is a band that I don't know if anybody's ever heard of these guys either. Led Zeppelin. It came from.
I really don't know. I really don't know the origin of this.
It came from an offhand joke by Keith Moon, who was the drummer for The Who. Fantastic, great drummer. Jimmy Page was forming a new band following the breakup of the Yardbirds.
All right.
Moon told him that, excuse me, the project would go down like a lead balloon. Well, Jimmy Page, he liked the phrase, but he wanted something a little more, oomph to it. So he replaced balloon with Zeppelin, which evoked a powerful image of both heaviness and flight. But he changed the name to LED because he didn't want people calling the band Lead Zeppelin.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Okay, so that's the story of those guys. Fleetwood Mac, some of you might know, was founded by guitarist Peter Green and wanted to keep the drummer Mick Fleetwood and the bassist John McVie with the band. Mm-hmm. So he said, why don't we just combine your two names? We'll call it Fleetwood Mac. And
it worked.
That's how they got their name, and they stuck around for a little bit.
They certainly did.
Up next, Aerosmith. Drummer Joey Kramer came up with the name long before he even joined the band. As a young person, he would doodle the word Aerosmith in his school notebooks. He was inspired by Aerosmith, ARROWSMITH, a novel by Sinclair Lewis. However, the band's name had no connection to the book. Kramer just liked how it sounded.
Get that?
All right. Next up, and I think this one could be pretty obvious, but it's the Doobie Brothers. Originally, the band was called Pud.
Okay. All right.
Pud, P-U-D.
Doobie Brothers, probably more.
But the name wasn't going to make it. They thought. And one night, a friend half-jokingly suggested the Doobie Brothers because of the band's frequent use of a green leafy plant that grows in some areas.
Mm-hmm.
The group laughed at it, but kept the name temporarily. Eventually, it stuck with them.
Excellent. Okay.
All right. Next up, Journey. Now, everybody knows Journey. Everybody's heard them, loved them. They had many, many hits through the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s.
Had a good chance to meet them.
Yep. And
almost.
Do you know what they were called originally?
Highway.
No.
Travel.
No.
I don't know. They
were called the Golden Gate Rhythm Section.
I see.
Not to be confused with the Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Right, exactly.
It sounded more like a backup band than an opening act, or not a feature, a headline act.
Yeah.
And they realized they need something a little bit better. They held a radio contest to find a new name, but none of the suggestions clicked. Then a roadie, of all people, said, well, why don't you just, you're all traveling, always just call it Journey. They said, oh, Journey. Oh, okay. So it stuck. So that's how they got theirs. Yeah. Last on the list here is Cheap Trick.
Don't have any idea how
The
that
band
came about.
found their name at a Slade concert.
Wow.
And you know
Slade?
Slade.
Come on, Feel the Noise.
Yep.
Did the original of that.
Right. Watching the over the top stage theatrics, bassist Tom Peterson turned to his bandmates and said, "They use every cheap trick in the book." The phrase stuck, and they adopted that as the name of their band.
And they did that. Okay.
So that is how some of the bands got their names.
Well, I've got 4 more. I've got a 70s group and 3 80s groups, and I went by the more bizarre name, basically. I'm going to start with one that would seem to be similar. This is a group that I knew the first 2 names, but I didn't know the third. Bachman Turner Overdrive. Bachman certainly came from Randy Bachman, who was one of the founding members of the group, and I believe he was part of the Guess Who as well. Yeah. Probably sang with Burton Cummings, one of my favorite guys.
I know how they got their name.
Okay.
I won't say it. I'll let you go.
Okay. Well, it may be different. It may be a different story.
From what I've read and understood, that's
there were 2 Turner brothers in the band, and so that's where Turner came from. They became Bachman Turner, and I've always wondered how the name Overdrive, how they came up with the word overdrive. The story I've got is that the band was in a truck stop one night, and there was a magazine on the counter, and it was called Overdrive. Yep. And I looked up the history of Overdrive magazine. It's been the truckers' Bible, so to speak, for over 60 years.
Yeah.
So they saw the name Overdrive and they already decided Bachman and Turner would get their dues in the name of the song and the name of the group. So they Bachman Turner, and they added the Overdrive from that magazine.
Well, it fit.
Going to move up to the 80s. I've always wondered about the Fine Young Cannibals. They named they had a 1988 hit song called "She Drives Me Crazy," which you may or may not remember, depending on your age and how much top 40 radio you listened to in '88. But the name came in 1984. This was interesting. One of the guys from the band was in a hotel room, turned the TV on. There's a movie. It's a 1965 Robert Wagner, Natalie Wood movie called All the Fine Young Cannibals. And from there, he took the name back to the group, I guess, and thought, that's pretty cool. And they decided to call them the Fine Young Cannibals.
I always called them the Fine Young Cannonballs.
Cannonballs, yeah. Did they eat each other after every performance? Okay. Dave, you know that one.
Oh, gosh. And, I played them before they got top 40.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a song in 1983, a hit song called Too Shy. It was a hit from a British 5-man boy band. I did not know this was a boy band for the longest time. And the NSYNC Backstreet Boys thing. It was 5 boys, 5 men. The boy band was called Kaja Goo Goo. And Too Shy, the name did not hurt them. Too Shy went to number 1 in Germany, Belgium, and Ireland. It went to number 2 in France and Switzerland. It went to number 4 in Sweden, Austria, and the Netherlands. And it was a number 5 Billboard Hot 100 hit here in the States. And it was number 1 on the UK singles chart. That's where they were from. We kind of call them a one-hit wonder. They had other hits on the on UK radio, and of course that's where they're from. And very simply, it came from one day. One of the guys, again, one of the guys apparently was with somebody who had a baby, and heard Gaga Goo Goo, and said, you know what, that would be a name that would stand out. And they decided to make it sound a little more infantile, a little less infantile sounding by changing the first two syllables. And so it became Kaja Goo Goo. So if you've ever heard that song, Too Shy, watch out, eye to eye, Too Shy by Kaja Goo Goo. And
do you know their frontman's name?
I do not. No.
He had a solo hit on his own. His name was Lamal.
And
Never Ending Story or something like that.
Yes, and Lamal was, I do know his name. His actual last name was Hamill, Hamill, and he shuffled the letters in Hamill to where when he went solo, he became Lamal.
Makes sense.
And I don't think he had a hit over here, but they had some UK. He had some UK hits on his own. The last band I have, interesting to me, quite a story about it. Tommy Two-Tone. Pardon me. Tommy Two-Tone was a group from America, surprisingly enough. They had a 1981 hit called 867-5309/Jenny. And every member of the group had a different outtake, or a different take, not outtake, but take on how they came up with that name, Tommy Two-Tone. Tommy Two-Tone was not a man, was not a person. Tommy Two-Tone was a band. So people like Tommy Two-Tone, Jethro Tull, they took male names, but they were bands. And their leader, Tommy Heath, had a nickname. He played in a couple of other bands, and for some reason they kept the Tommy, and they started calling him Tommy Two-Tone, and so it stuck. And Tommy Two-Tone became the name of the band that had 867-5309. It briefly started a national craze of people calling that number and asking for Jenny. And 867-5309 was a local exchange in Chesapeake. I know the lady came in and wondered what was going on, asked if we were going to continue to play the song, and wanted to know what she could do. Her phone was ringing all hours of the night. As I recall, the general manager said, let's just pay to have her number changed if she'll go for that. And we did, and her number was changed, and she had no more harassing phone calls. But that's bad that one of the guys said it came from a toilet stall with the girl's number underneath it. So, I don't know whether that's where the phone number came from or not, but I wasn't looking up the song's origin. I was looking up the origin and the name of the group.
Yeah.
So, Tommy Two-Tone.
Well, I heard that some of those guys got in trouble and they got part of the end of their foot cut off, so they had to change their name to Tommy Two-Toes.
Two-Toes?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so. And
that was pretty stupid.
Yeah. Until Kaja Goo Goo got their name from a baby. Gaga Goo Goo, one of the founding members of that band, said he had a dream about a men's room and a woman's room. And he said, instead of saying men and women on the doors, one door said Kaja and the other one said Goo Goo. And that was one of the silliest explanations for the name of that song. Yeah, for the name of the group. And I thought that it It was much more interesting that they got it from a baby, and I kind of felt like a baby saying it on the air.
Can you imagine? Pardon me, I have to go to the Kaja room.
That's right. I got to go to the Kaja room. But that was a heck of a hit. It was a hit all over the world, too, Shy was. So, and it was bolstered by MTV's playing its video.
Oh, they ran that thing to death.
They did run it to death. The girl cleaning up, I can't remember exactly what it was. She was a waitress or something, and it was a big one there. So, I guess we'll finish with unless we have something else to do.
No.
I found you got to hear this. I'm not going to do this all the time, but I found a song in my library that I really, really liked. If you are a disco fan, you would be interested in hearing the song. If you're not a disco fan, just heck with it, toss it in the garbage or whatever. But if there's a guy named Jimmy Bo Horn, Bo in parentheses, Jimmy Bo Horn. And Jimmy had...
And I don't care.
Jimmy Bo Horn, and I don't care. That's right. Jimmy Bo Horn had 3 or 4 dance singles that were hit songs. But the song I liked and actually played on WCMI, I thought it was as good as any Casey and the Sunshine Band song, was a song called Dance Across the Floor by Jimmy Bo Horn. It's on YouTube, I believe. I think Dave will probably hook a link underneath
I'll
to it.
Put a link in the description.
It has the brass that I love in the song. It opens with incredible rhythm, and the brass is so strong. And then a little bit into it, you hear an organ pipe in. And then when Jimmy starts to sing, sounds exactly like Casey of Casey and the Sunshine Band. In fact, when we played it, people would call up and say, "Is that a Casey and the Sunshine Band song?" Or they would ask for the new Casey and the Sunshine Band song, which made things even more confused. And we didn't play it for that long, but I really, really think it deserved to be a disco hit. And it was arranged by H.W. Casey. Harry Wayne Casey, I believe his name is. It was written by H.W. Casey. So Casey had his input to the song. Why he didn't do the song, I don't know. But Jimmy Bo Horn did do it, and I believe it made fairly high waves on the dance charts at that time. So you got to hear this. I'd like your comments. What do you think? Do you like the song as much as I did, if you're a KC fan, or do you think it's a piece of garbage? I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have any stock in any of these songs.
We don't want you to start blubbering in case nobody likes it.
That's right. I won't do it.
Okay.
I won't do it.
Well, I think you're finished for right now, aren't we?
I believe we are. I think we've carried everything, and I'll remember what we forgot when we're on the car going
certainly. Hey, with that said, you want to get a hold of this guy, you can email him, rdwgmm@gmail.com. You can get him on X, formerly Twitter, at Gary Music Miller.
That seems to be a lot of people's favorite way of getting a hold of me. We don't get a lot of mail on the RDWGMM. Maybe people don't understand that. It's Radio Days with Gary Music Miller, abbreviated, an acronym. And if you'd write me on that, I'd love to hear what you think about the shows that we've done, what you think of my future topic might be, something you'd like Lisa did. That's a good topic. We probably will do a 40th anniversary salute to top 40 music before we get out of 2026. So please if you're with us, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. The more subscribers we get, the longer we can do this. I found a guy on YouTube. I went through YouTube videos, and there was a video of somebody peeling an egg. So the egg's like this, and the guy has it was gross to me because it reminded me of my brain surgery. He took an instrument, stuck it into the egg, and started peeling tiny bits and pieces off the egg. I didn't watch it till the entire egg became visible, but I knew he'd get there eventually. And that guy's got 2,000 some followers watching the guy peel an egg. I don't understand. We've been struggling for 5 or 6 years to get to 200 followers, and this guy peels an egg. So we might peel an egg on the next show, or fry up some bacon or something. But that just blew me away. And some of the I saw one video where a guy centered in on one of his video games, and you could watch him play his video game, and he had a few thousand subscribers.
Oh, there's a lot of people like that.
So, is there?
There's a couple of them that have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
and literally,
at least we try to impart information. We do our research. We hope you're enjoying our look into music, because that's really what the channel's all about. We do radio when it's possible, but we've lost so many people in the radio industry, so we don't center in on radio, but we are a music channel, and we're a nostalgia music channel. So if you like nostalgia, you like music of the 70s, 80s, 90s, even the 60s, even the 2000s, we'll talk about some of the greatest hits of all time, and we'll talk about some of the big bands and artists. And so send us your suggestions. That's it.
All right. I guess we are done for right now. So with that said, we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We appreciate all that. We want you to continue if you can. And we hope that down the line, we can, maybe gain a couple more, but that's yet to be seen. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
If you're listening, if you're watching us, please subscribe. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
And we don't rain on them with content all the time. We do content about once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy it.
Okay. We're done. We're leaving. Have a great week, folks. We appreciate each and every one of you. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. So long.